Hello mga sisi! Welcome back to my channel. Now before we start, please don't forget to subscribe to Routine Stitch, like our video, and if you have any questions or any requests, just hit the comment box below. Okay? Now today, ang gagawin natin ay ang Sailor Moon inspired baby outfit, and I hope you like it. So let's start! Ang mga materials na gagamitin natin ay Now, before we start, these are the acronyms na gagamitin natin para sa project na to. And I'll show you the parts of the Sailor Moon dress. This would be the sample, partially finished. So, ang gagawin muna natin ay yung chest part. And then after that, gagawin natin yung neckline. And then yung part ng back. And gagawin natin yung collar, yung ribbon o yung bow, yung design sa hips, yung skirt, and then of course, lastly, yung sleeves. Now, para simulan ang ating project, gagamitin natin ay ang ating white yarn. So, make a slip stitch or slip knot, and then you have to make 100 chains. Now, 100 chains para 50 yung front side, and then the other 50 would be for the back side. So, kung mag-i-increase kayo ng size, ganun lang yung gagawin nyo. After you finish your 100 chains, make sure that it's not twisted, and then join the two ends together using a slip stitch. Now we're going to start our first row, which would be 2 chains. Kailangan yung gumawa ng dalawang chain, and then make 1 double crochet on each stitch until the end of your first row, until you reach that last chain for row 1. Now once you're done, you just have to slip stitch on the first or on top of the first chain or first double crochet that we made. So I'll show you how. So we're almost done with our first row, and we're just going to make that last double crochet. And then slip stitch on top of the first double crochet for the row to join. And then to start row 2, you just have to make 2 chains, and then you have to put another double crochet on each stitch, and then just do the same pattern as just like row 1, and then we have to repeat this until we have 4 rows in total. Now once you're done with your first 4 rows, we're going to start to make our neckline. So yung front side muna ang gagawin natin. So if you see, ito yung first 4 rows na ginawa natin, and then gagawin na natin yung ating neckline. Para sa neckline, gagawin natin, dahil 50 yung front side and then 50 yung back side, hahatiin natin yung front side sa dalawa. So that's 25 stitch for each side. And yung pinag-slip stitch natin, count yun as your first stitch for this row. And then make a single crochet on the next row to start, and then chain 1, double crochet on the next stitch. That would be your third stitch, and then make 1 double crochet on each stitch until you reach stitch 23. Now, once you reach the last 2 stitches of your 25 stitches for the first side, you have to make a decrease. So make 2 double crochet together, and then you turn and make another decrease by making a single crochet on the next stitch. Now after that, make another double crochet on each stitch. Like the first row that we made, you have to leave the last 2 stitches. Okay, so make 1 double crochet on each stitch except for the last 2 stitches of this row. And then on the last 2 stitches, make another decrease or 2 double crochet together. So we have to do this until we reach row 5. So meaning 3 rows tayo magde-decrease sa unahan at saka sa pinakadulo. Now, once we reach row 6 to row 8, we're going to just make the decrease on one side and then just keep the same stitch on the other side, or we're not going to decrease on the other side. We're going to make the neckline and then the side of your shoulder. So the side of the shoulder, we're not going to decrease. So in this case, we have to start with chain 2 since we're no longer going to decrease on this side, and then double crochet on each stitch except for the last 2 stitches on this row. Now once you reach the last 2 stitches, make that double crochet decrease or 2 double crochet together, and then turn, and then you make another decrease on this side. So that single crochet on the next stitch, chain 1, and then double crochet on each stitch until the last stitch of the row. Now on row 8, you just have to repeat the pattern on the row 6. So meaning we're not going to decrease this since this would be the shoulder side. So you just have to continue that. And then on row 9 and row 10, you have to stop decreasing. So meaning you're just going to chain 2 and then make 1 double crochet on each stitch, and then continue the same pattern until you reach row 10. Now if you can see, we're done with our first side. So the neckline, you can see it, and then the shoulder side. Now you just have to repeat the same pattern on the other side. We're now going to make the back side. So make a slip knot and then slip stitch on the side on the first stitch of your 50 chains or 50 stitches for the back. So we're going to make a decrease right away. So single crochet on the next stitch and then chain 1 and then double crochet on the next stitch until the end of the row except for the last 2 stitches. So on the last 2 stitches, we're going to make another decrease. Okay, so we reached the last 2 stitches, so we're going to make that 2 double crochet together. And we're going to make row 2 to row 6. You just have to turn and then single crochet on the next stitch and then chain 1 and then double crochet on the next stitch except for the last 2 stitches, and you make 2 double crochet together on the last stitch. So after row 6, we're going to stop to decrease on both sides. So we're just going to make 1 double crochet on each stitch until we reach row 10. So every time you're going to start the row, you just have to do the 2 chains, turn, and then double crochet on each stitch. Babalikan ko kayo pag natapos na natin yung ating row 10. Now we're done with our row 10. Natapos na natin yung ating back side at front side. Now kailangan lang natin siyang ipagdugtong dun sa shoulder side. You can either use single crochet, just like what I'm doing, on that part of the shoulder, yung dugtungan. Or you can continue this after nito, kung gusto nyo hindi na magka-cut, you can just continue the single crochet until you cross the other side para pagdugtongin yung shoulder. But you can also just cut this and then stitch the other side separately. Now, once na-join nyo na yung both shoulders, turn it upside or inside out para hindi makita yung stitch natin sa shoulder, and then we're going to make that design in the middle, yung pa-V niya. So we're going to use the 10 middle stitches at the center. So mula doon sa pinaka joint, kung saan yung pinagdugtong yung dalawang side, pumilang kayong 5 papunta sa right and then 5 papunta sa left. So that would be your 10 stitches at the center. So make a slip knot and then slip stitch on the first stitch of that 10 stitches at the center, and then chain 2 and make 1 double crochet on each stitch for that 10 center stitches. Now once you're done with the 10 double crochet, we're going to start decreasing. So you turn and then make a single crochet on the next stitch, chain 1, double crochet on each stitch until you reach the end of the row, but except for the last 2 stitches. So on the last 2 stitches, make 2 double crochet together. And then turn, and then single crochet on the next stitch. Just make the same pattern as the previous row, and we have to do this until we reach row 5. So it means we're going to decrease for 3 rows. So once you reach row 6, you should have at least 5. Once you reach row 5, once you reach row 5, you would only have 2 stitches left, and that would be the center of the V in front. Now after that, we just have to chain 2 and then start making double crochet on each stitch all around the waistband or the waist of your skirt. So you can see here, I'm making that double crochet. Now once you reach that base of the V, okay, you reach the corner, just make that 2 double crochet on that stitch, and then all around you have to make that 1 double crochet on each stitch. After you're done, you just slip stitch to lock, and then we're going to do the collar using the blue yarn. Make a slip knot and then slip stitch at the center of your neckline, and then make single crochet from the center going to the shoulder. So once you reach the shoulder, you just have to chain 2, turn, and make 1 double crochet on each stitch, going back, except for the last 2 stitches where we're going to make another decrease, or we're going to make 2 double crochet together on the last 2 stitches. So here we're doing that decrease. And then on row 2, for your collar, you have to turn and then single crochet on the next stitch, chain 1, and then make 1 double crochet on each stitch until you reach the end of the row. And then on row 3, you just have to repeat the same pattern. So you're just going to decrease at the center of your collar in front. Once you're finished with your row, you just have to repeat the row 2 pattern And then once you have your 4 rows, just lock and cut the excess yarn and repeat the same pattern on the other side. So we're going to make the back side of your collar. So make a slip knot using the blue yarn and then slip stitch at the end of your collar at the back side, the one in the around the shoulder. And then chain 1 and make 1 single crochet or use single crochet around the edges of your collar. So use single crochet across the other side. Kung makita nyo, continuous lang yung single crochet until ma-reach natin yung kabilang side ng collar. And then once you're done with that, we're going to continue working on your back side of the collar. Chain 2 and make 1 double crochet on each stitch until the end of the row. So you're going to do this until you have 10 rows for the back side of the collar. Now once you have 10 rows, we're almost done with our collar. We're just going to make that design para sa edges. So, kung gusto niyo mas mahaba, pwede niyo naman dugtungan. But to make the edges, you have to chain 1 and then make single crochet around the edges until you reach that center in front, the V line of your neckline. So just single crochet yan. So what you can do is make 2 single crochet on each row if you would like to have it to make it even. Pero you can just make single crochet all across, and then once you reach that middle or that center part, mag slip stitch lang tayo. And then pagpunta natin sa kabilang side ng collar, continue lang natin yung single crochet. So, single crochet natin yan hanggang makabalik tayo kung saan tayo nag-start ng ating single crochet. Now, one thing that you can do is to make sure na hindi mag-curl up yung ating collar. You can add additional stitch whenever you reach a curve or a corner. Don't hesitate to put an extra stitch on it. So, once nakabalik na tayo dun sa ating pinaka-start, you just have to make a slip stitch to join the ends, lock, and cut the excess yarn. Now, for the second row, use the white yarn, make a slip knot. This time, dun tayo magsa-start sa pinaka-start ng ating right collar sa unahan. And hindi na natin sila pagdudugtungin. So, we're going to make it separate. Okay, so, make a slip stitch on that side. And then, chain 1. And continue making that single crochet all around until you reach the other side of the collar. So again, okay, don't hesitate to put additional stitch when you reach a curve or a corner. This will prevent the collar from curling up, so para ma-flat siya. So, kung nakita nyo dito, separate kong ginawa or kinat ko yung yarn, hindi ko sila pinagtugtong. And once you reach the other side of the collar, pwede nyo nang i-weave yung tail para hindi kayo mahirapan. Now, after this white part, what you can do is just use the same pattern, and then it should be alternate of blue and white para magawa natin yung pattern na ganito para sa Sailor Moon collar natin. So, ganyan na mangyayari pag ginawa natin siya ng alternate color. So, just make sure that dun kayo magsa-start every time doon sa right side. Now that we're done with our collar, gagawin naman natin yung ating sleeve. So, sa sleeve, madali lang. Very simple. So, we're just going to make a slip knot using the white yarn, and then we have to slip stitch dun sa ating may kilikili o dun sa armpit area. And then, just make single crochet all around the armhole. So, chain 1 and then single crochet. Paikot yan ang armhole natin. Now, pag natapos na natin yan, kailangan lang natin ipag-join yung ends using a slip stitch. So, slip stitch lang natin dun sa first single crochet na ginawa natin sa ating row. And then we're going to start row 2 para sa sleeves. So, we're going to make 2 chains and then make 1 double crochet on each stitch para sa ating second row until we reach the end, and then slip stitch ulit natin doon sa pinakadulo para ipag-join yung both sides. So, kaya ginagawa ko dito. Now, on our third row, chain 2 ulit, and then this time we're going to make 2 double crochet on each stitch. And we're going to make that same pattern until we reach the end of this row. Now, once you're done with that, kailangan ulit natin ipag-join yung dulo. So, slip stitch on top of the first double crochet. And then we're going to start our row 4. So, row 4, chain 2 ulit. And then make 2 double crochet on each stitch. Until the end of the row. Actually, it's 1 double crochet on each stitch until the end of the row. And then, slip stitch lang natin yung pinakadulo. So, sorry again, for row 3, kailangan natin ng 1 double crochet on each stitch lang. So, for row 4, ang gagawin natin ay half double crochet. So, chain 1 and then make half double crochet together. So, meaning, magdi-decrease tayo all across ng row 4 using half double crochet. So, ginagawa natin para maging puff sleeve siya. Kung makikita nyo, medyo nagpa-puff na siya. So, we're going to make that decrease on each stitch until the end of the row. And then, ipag-join ulit natin yung dulo using a slip stitch. And then, for row 5, chain 1. And then, we're going to make 1 half double crochet on the first stitch. And then on the next stitch, we're going to make the decrease. And then on the next stitch, 1 half double crochet again. And then on the next stitch, another decrease of half double crochet. So we're going to use the same pattern until the end of the row. Now once we're done, just like before, we're going to join the ends using the slip stitch on top of the first half double crochet of the row. Now for our last row, we have to chain 1 and then we're going to make 1 half double crochet on each stitch until the end of the row. Now once you're done, you have to just join the ends using a slip stitch and then lock and cut the excess yarn. So natapos na natin yung ating first sleeve, and then you just have to use the same pattern on the other side to make that sleeve. So now we're going to make the skirt. So make a slip knot using the blue yarn. Now we're going to just work on the back loop ng ating waistline or ng waistband natin. So make a slip stitch on the back loop only, chain 2, and make not one but 2 double crochet on each stitch until we reach the base of the V in front, or yung 10 center stitches natin sa gitna. So pag nakarating tayo dun sa pinaka first nun, okay, we're going to stop using the double crochet. So just make 2 double crochet on each stitch until you reach this side. So once we reach that 10 center stitches, we're going to switch using the single crochet. So still 2 stitches on each stitch, but this time it's just gonna be single crochet. So kung makikita nyo, back loop ko lang siya ginagamit. And malaman natin mamaya kung bakit back loop lang tayo naglalagay ng stitch. Now, once nakarating tayo sa kabilang side, okay, nung base yung last stitch ng ating 10 center stitches in front, we're going to continue using the double crochet, 2 double crochet on each stitch. So, all around yan ng waistline, at pag natapos, ipagdugtong natin yung dulo using a slip stitch. Now, for the next row, or row 2 ng skirt, chain 2, and then continue making 2 double crochet on each stitch, this time all around na ng ating row 2. So, gagawin natin yan hanggang makabalik tayo doon kung saan tayo nag-start. Now, once natatapos na natin yung ating second row, kailangan ulit natin pagdugtungin yung dulo using a slip stitch. And then, to start our third row, kailangan natin magawa ng chain 2. And then this time, 1 double crochet on each stitch na lang. And we're going to make this pattern now 1 double crochet on each stitch until we have 10 rows in total, or hanggang makarating tayo sa row 10. But if you would like to have it longer, you can add additional rows. So hindi ko natatapusin yan. Basta pag naka 10 rows na kayo, or once you're satisfied with the length ng inyong skirt, you can stop and then lock and cut the excess yarn. So every time ma-reach nyo yung dulo, to join, you just have to use the slip stitch. Now, yung 10 rows, ganito siya kahaba. So, magiging ganyan yung itsura niya pag natapos yung 10 rows. Now, what we're going to do is make that hip design, or the design on the hips. So, this time, we're going to use the white yarn, make a slip knot, and then slip stitch on the side. And this time, we're just going to work on the front loop on the waistband. So, make 1 double crochet on each stitch hanggang makarating natin yung pinaka-center ng ating V in front. So, meaning we're going to make 25 double crochet. Actually, hindi siya to 25 kasi meron na tayong center. So, just make that 1 double crochet on each stitch hanggang makarating tayo dito sa pinaka-center na to. And then, once you reach that center, you just have to chain 2, and then turn, and then make 1 double crochet on each stitch going back doon sa ating pinaka side, or until the end of the row. Now, once you're done with that, you just have to lock and cut the excess yarn, and then use the same pattern to make the other side. Now, once you're done with the other side, kailangan natin pagdugtungin yung pinaka-center niya. So, you can either use single crochet to join the center, gaya ng gagawin ko dito, or you can use your needle and stitch the two sides together. So, kailangan lang natin pagdugtungin yung pinakagitna. And then, of course, once you're done, you have to lock. Now we're going to clean the edges. So you have to use that white yarn again. So make a slip knot. By the way, yung pinakagitna ng ating V, to keep it flat, you can stitch it sa gitna. But later I'll show you. So, slip stitch natin doon sa side yung ating slip knot. sa ating left side. And then make single crochet all across the back side ng ating waistline. Yung natitira natin front loop dun sa back side. So, isi-single crochet lang natin to. Hanggang makarating tayo doon sa side ulit ng kabila. Now, once you're done with the back, okay, pagdating natin sa unahan, ang gagamitin natin ay slip stitch. So, slip stitch lang natin siya hanggang makarating tayo doon sa pinaka-dulo kung saan tayo nag-start. Now, once you're done, ito yung sinasabi ko, i-stitch nyo lang yung pinakagitna dyan para mag-stay flat yung ating V-design. So, you can use a needle and then i-stitch nyo lang siya dun sa skirt para ma-flat siya. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is the ribbon and the bottom. So, we're going to use the red yarn, make a slip knot, and then chain 15. After chain 15, make half double crochet starting on the second chain from your hook. And then continue making 1/2 double crochet on each stitch until the end of the row. Now, once you're done with your first row, you just have to chain 1 again and then make 1/2 double crochet on each stitch until the end of the row. And you have to do this, okay, you have to repeat the same pattern until you have total of 50 rows. Now that we're done with our 50 rows, we have to fold it like this, and then we're going to stitch the two ends together using single crochet, just like what I'm doing. Okay, so you just have to continue that until ma-stitch natin yung dalawang side together. And then you have to leave a long tail, at least 1 to 1.5 yards. So what we're going to do is going to use the tail to form the ribbon. So i-fold siya ng ganyan, nasa center yung pinaka-dugtungan, and then you have to wrap the tail around the middle part to create a ribbon. So just pull the thread and then continue wrapping it up in the middle, and you will have your ribbon. So just leave a few inches of the tail para mailagay natin yung pinaka tail ng ating ribbon. So to make the tail for our ribbon, you have to slip knot and then make 15 chains again to start. And then on the second chain of your hook, make 1/2 double crochet and then make 1/2 double crochet on each stitch until the end of the row. Now once you're done, you just have to make another row of 1/2 double crochet on each stitch, and then on your third row you're going to start decreasing, so you have to make that single crochet on the next stitch, and then chain 1, and then make 1/2 double crochet on each stitch except for the last 2 stitches of the row. So we're going to continue doing this, and then on the last 2 stitches we're going to make 2 half double crochet together or a decrease. Okay, so you have to continue decreasing in the first at the beginning and the end of your row for row 3 to row 5. So once you're done with your row 5, you would have to stop decreasing. So you're going to just make a chain 1 and then 1/2 double crochet on each stitch until the end of the row. So you should have a total of 5 stitches left. So you will have 5 half double crochet. So you're going to make 5 half double crochet on each stitch until you reach row 9. Now on row 10, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to start increasing. So we're going to make 2 half double crochet on the first stitch, and then 1/2 double crochet on the next stitches except for the last one. The last one you're going to make 2 half double crochet on that stitch, on that same stitch. And you have to do this until you reach row 12. So after row 12, this is it. So we're going to make another row. So chain 1, and then this time you're just going to make 1/2 double crochet on each stitch until the end of the row. Now our last row, you have to chain 1, turn, and this time just make single crochet on each stitch until the end of the row. So once you're done, this is the tail of your ribbon. You just have to attach this on the ribbon at the middle part. So what you're going to do is use that tail that was left and then wrap it around the middle part. So you can join this. And there you go, you have your ribbon. You can now stitch this in the middle of your blouse or at the center of your V-neck for the Sailor Moon dress. Very nice, right? So you just have to attach this in that part, middle part of the dress. And now we're going to just make that the yellow button. So yellow button, chain 2 using the yellow yarn, and then make 6 single crochet on the first stitch or on the first chain. This will be a continuous circle. So after your 6 single crochet, make 2 single crochet on the next 6 stitches. So that's 2 single crochet on each stitch times 6 or 6 times. And once you're done with that, you just have to slip stitch on the next stitch and lock and cut the excess yarn. Now you just have to stitch it in the middle para magiging ganyan siya, parang button. So now we're done with our project. I hope you like it. So ito na ating Sailor Moon dress. I'm just going to attach the pattern for that choker that I made and also the headband. Okay, it's very simple. Just check the description box and I'll go ahead and put the pattern on it. Okay, so please don't forget to subscribe to Ruthie and Stitch, like our videos, and if you have any questions, any requests, just hit the comment box below. Okay, thank you.